Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh. For 30 years, as you've heard from previous speakers, we've been forced to digest a narrative. It's been forced down our gobs. That Operation Blue Star happened because of Khalistan, when in fact the exact opposite. It was Operation Blue Star that gave birth to Khalistan. But where, after 31 years, where do we stand with Khalistan? If we can't digest or fathom Guru Arjan Dev Ji's and Guru Har Gobind Sahab's vision, because Guru Har Gobind Sahab learned something major from Guru Arjan Dev Ji Shahidi. Guru Har Gobind Sahab, Guru Arjan Dev Ji with their Shahidi, they taught us sabr, to live in Akal Purukh's hukum. But what Guru Har Gobind Sahab also learned was that if we are under the command of a Mughal ruler, then that beautiful plant that was planted by Guru Nanak Dev Ji, it will finish. This is where Sri Akal Takht Sahab was born, to govern us. Guru Har Gobind Sahab told us that we are genetically free. But if we can't fathom, because we live in this modern era, if we can't fathom that we are genetically free, then just look at the modern era today. Let's look at a referendum. If we want to put the issue of Khalistan to bed, let's have a referendum. Why haven't the people of Punjab been asked if they are happy to stay in the Indian Union? The last time we had a dialogue with the Indian establishment, or a so-called dialogue, one man was asking for clean water. One man was asking on the behalf of a whole state for a greater share of electricity. One man was asking for social justice. One man was asking for political reform. One man was asking for constitutional safeguarding. And what happened to that dialogue? They bought tanks, howitzer helicopters, the full might of the armed forces, and they brought it to the doorstep of Harmandir Sahib and unleashed hell. Today, not a single person has asked a Punjabi or a Sikh living in Punjab or anybody, are you happy to live in the Indian Union? Scotland had a referendum. Britain, England done all they could to persuade the Scottish to stay in the Union. When has India ever persuaded us and given us the benefits of staying in the Union? They never have. They've never given us the option. And what is a union anyway? A union is an agreement with two parties to stay together. What have we ever achieved by staying in India? Other than decades of bloodshed. And the reason why we haven't had a referendum, not only because they don't want to give us the choice, but they have created a twisted, mangled version and a distorted version of what Khalistan is. Khalistan has become a dirty word to legitimize our murder. But what is Khalistan? What is Khalsa Raj? Guru Tegh Bahadur gave his life for a group of people, the Hindus, who he didn't really agree with their philosophy, but he gave his life for them. We went over 3 continents in the First World War and fought for this land, for the British people, for the British government, for a land that we would never see. Over 1 million Sikhs entered into that world war. We then freed India from the clutches of imperialism. Look at the Nepal disaster. We're all over the place helping these people. We are feeding the homeless in whichever country we are. So on what grounds are they going to tell us that Khalistan is a dreaded nation? How can they tell us that a land based on the principles of Guru Nanak Dev Ji, of Kirt Karni, Vand Ke Shakna, Naam Japna, is somehow not going to be for the betterment of the people? At the very minimum, in Khalistan, at the very minimum, what you will get is equality and justice. And if people say that Sikhs don't know how to run a government, there's that age-old story, oh, you can't even control a Gurdwara, how are you going to run a nation? Look at the Khalsa Raj that we've had in the past. Baba Banda Singh Bahadur established Khalsa Raj and destroyed the feudal system. Nobody had ever seen that before. Raja Ranjit Singh's empire was the most cosmopolitan the world had ever seen. Who's to tell us that we can't run government? And if we don't go for Khalistan, if we don't make ourselves free, ask yourself this: what is the alternative? If you aren't given your own land, what is the alternative? In the past 2 weeks, Sanjay Singh Khal's up and down speeches have been relayed. And there's one particular speech that's been shared by everyone. Sant Ji in that speech tells the Sangat 31 years ago that in Dauke Pind, a girl was stripped naked and paraded in the village. He said Saroops, Beadbi was done to Saroops, a Singh was made Shaheed. 31 years later in 2015, in this past month, a girl has been raped on a bus in Punjab. 4 Saroops have had Beadbi done to him, and a Singh has been made Shaheed in Jammu. Sant Pindrawale could be making that exact same speech from this stage 31 years later. What's changed? What is the alternative to Khalistan? In 1947, when partition came, India learned 2 things from the British. And the biggest thing that learned from the British was Punjab was the last state to fall. And Sikhs were the biggest people to defend themselves. So they launched a campaign. And this campaign didn't have any bullets, it didn't have any bombs, it didn't have any tanks. They denied our language, they truncated Punjab so it can't stand it on its own. They denied us water and electricity, a faceless war. And then when one man stuck his head above the parapet and he said enough is enough, then they brought a real war to our doorstep. For the next 20 years, Punjab became a killing field. But in 95, when India wanted to enter this world as a big democracy, they thought we can't keep killing Sikhs. How are we going to keep killing Sikhs and throwing them in the rivers of Rajasthan and then call ourselves the 3rd largest democracy? So they went back to the faceless war. And what was this faceless war? Female feticide, the drugs epidemic in Punjab, the alcohol epidemic, the fake data epidemic, farmer suicide. And then every so often they'll give us a poke. They'll bring up the subject of Bhai Rajwana's execution, Professor Puller. They will tear down a poster of Santaji because they want to know, from 95 to the present day when we've had this faceless war, how much anak is left in Punjab? How much anak is left in these Sikh? And for those people who stand up and show some anak, there's a bullet. So they go back to the physical war. And that's when Jaspal Singh gets Shaheed, Balkar Singh, Darshan Singh, and Jagjit Singh. How long do you want these cycles of massacre to continue? Faceless war, physical war, faceless war, physical war, until there's no Sikhs left to kill. So the alternative, what is the alternative to Khalistan? The alternative to Khalistan is having a Punjab that today, for every 1,000 boys, there's only 700 girls. And that number's dwindling. They're killing generations before they're born. What is the alternative to Khalistan? 3,000 packets of heroin enter Punjab's border despite the presence of the Border Security Force and the Special Frontier Force. Where are you going to get your next Bhagat Singh? Where are you going to get your next Jagraj Singh Tufan? Where's our Sukhan Jinda going to come from if they're drowning in drugs? What is the alternative to Khalistan? Having an alcohol epidemic where 70% of Punjab's youth are hooked on narcotics or alcohol. That's the alternative to Khalistan. What is the alternative to Khalistan? Farmers committing suicide. 3 farmers commit suicide in Punjab every 5 days. That's a genocide itself. You don't need bullets, you don't need tanks, and you don't need bombs. We're on our knees. But before we liberate any piece of land, before we shout Khalistan, it's up to us to give Khalistan a face. We shout Khalistan and we shout free Punjab, but we don't even know what Khalistan will look like. Will it be part of the union? Will it be in a federal structure? Will it be a sovereign state? What would our borders be? How have we gone to the people of Punjab and shown them what Khalistan can do for them? Yes, if Khalistan is created, we might be wedged between India and Pakistan, 2 nuclear aggressive nations. Yes, we'll be a landlocked state. Is Punjab viable to be independent economically? Probably not. Is it viable? But a social reform, that's what can kickstart it. Look at the Arab Spring. Look at the Czech Velvet Revolution. There's no point in us giving slogans every single year in Hyde Park. This cannot be our mission. This has to be the start of the journey. And although we have so many issues, Bapu Suraj Singh's hunger strike, Beadabi of Guru Maharaj, a Singh Shah in Jammu, just to show that this isn't a Punjabi issue, this is a Sikh issue. But there's something that I saw yesterday that was heartening. Through Operation Woodrose, through Operation Blue Star, through the Delhi massacres, through Operation Shanti, through Operation Metal, through Operation Shuddhikaran, all these are fancy names for your massacre. Through all these, there shouldn't really have been one Sikh left in Punjab. When the government turns to exterminate you physically, the police and the army, you don't stand a chance. But there's something in our soil, there's something that runs through our veins that doesn't allow us to fall. And yesterday, a whole generation took to Harmandir Sahib and shouted the slogans of Khalistan. There is more need now for Khalistan than there ever was. And if anyone is in doubt, our fight isn't against any people. Our fight is for the people. Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh.